Okay, fine, we're just talking about French fries here. But everybody knows what a delicious French fry is because there are plenty of bad ones out there. I'm going to show you some foolproof ways to make delicious, crispy brown fries that are still tender on the inside. These, better known as pommes frites, are absolutely delicious. We're not going to stop there because we're going to toss some of these with some really good toppings. You're going to love them. We've got something for everybody here. The first thing we need to do, though, is knock out a little bit of prep with these potatoes. Sound good? Let's cook. We're going to start with some very large russet or baking potatoes. You could also substitute out Yukon potatoes if you wanted to in this recipe. Grab a large container, and what we need to do is fill it up with water to about the halfway point and then simply set it to the side. So when it comes to cutting potatoes, unless you have a French fry cutter like they do in the restaurant industry, what we're going to do is slice off the end about the thickness of a French fry, and then once we roll it over and make sure it's nice and sturdy on the cutting board, we simply slice it as thick as we want. Now, you can do little shoestring potatoes like they have at Steak and Shake, thicker steak fries, whatever you want. This part is totally up to you. I'm about somewhere in the medium, not super thick, not super thin, just a nice fry. Once they are sliced into fries, we're going to add them to that water, make sure they're nice and submerged. We are going to let them sit for about 10 minutes. But this is also great timing because let's head over to that deep fryer. I've got quite a bit of peanut oil here. Hopefully it's not too overwhelming for you. You could also use things like grapeseed or whatever kind of oil that you like. We are going to crank up the temperature to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Look, if you don't have a deep fryer, a large or medium-sized pot with oil and a thermometer will work just fine. After about the 10-minute mark or so, let's head back over to the fries. You can move the fries a little bit in the water if you want. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is transfer them into a colander. Clearly, mine isn't big enough. So I'm going to do it in batches, and we're going to rinse off that starch. Make sure it's completely off there. It's going to take 3 to 4 minutes to do so. And I just realized I have an awesome basket, which I'm going to dump into there. Boom. That can hold all these fries. Much better. Continue to rinse with cold water. Again, that starch needs to come off there. That's key to getting a crispy golden brown fry. After they are rinsed after 3 or 4 minutes, we're going to let them sit for another 3 or 4 minutes, sort of let them air dry and let some of that water drain off. At that time, take a handful or two, add them right to your fryer basket. We are going to dunk these, and we are only going to cook them for 3 minutes. After about the 90-second mark or so, or every minute, just give them a quick little shake. Just move some things around, make sure fries aren't sticking together. We'll put them back down and finish the cooking time. Once they're done cooking, let's take the basket up, let them sit for a minute or two, drain off any excess oil, and then transfer them to a cookie sheet tray lined with parchment paper. Go back to the fryer. We're going to turn the heat up to 350 degrees. Now you can let the fries sit until you're ready to serve them, or you can do it right now, which is exactly what we're going to do. We're going to add in a few handfuls back to the fryer basket. And again, if you need to do this in batches, no problem. Put the fries down, and again, at that halfway mark, give it a few shakes. We're going to cook this for a total of 6 minutes. Now, if you want a crispier, even browner fry, go another minute or two. This is the beauty of this. I like the fries just like this. You want them more brown? Another minute or two, totally fine. Once they've drained off for maybe 30 seconds or so, we are going to add them to a large bowl. Here's how you season it. You could use table salt, any salt you have. I've got some sea salt. Move the bowl around back and forth to mix the fries with a little bit of salt. Make sure they're coated, and boom, you're done. Delicious, perfectly crisp pommes frites every single time. Serve them on a plate, garnish with some fresh herbs or parsley. One of the biggest questions I get is what to do with all this leftover fryer oil. Well, first of all, you can absolutely reuse it. Strain it through a fine mesh strainer or some cheesecloth once it's cooled down, and you probably have 3, 4, or even 5 more fries left in them, especially after just frying up potatoes to make French fries. But what you would do once it's to that point and the oil's kind of burned up and no longer good is cool it down to room temperature, completely cool it. What I like to do is transfer it to a milk carton and then I just simply dispose of it in the trash. There are some recycling centers that you can Google. Maybe they'll take their leftover fryer oil, but that is how I do it. Okay, now I promised you a few extra flavorings on some fries. Here's what we're gonna do. How about a little garlic chive, my friends? Add some unsalted butter to a large frying pan over medium heat. Add in some finely minced garlic cloves. What we're gonna do is move this around just for maybe a minute. They say once you smell garlic, it is done. Take it off there. We're going back over to the cutting board. Let's add some of those seasoned fries right to that butter and garlic. And then what I'm going to do is shake it back and forth to get them coated while sprinkling on fresh chives. Boom. Garlic chive fries. Delicious. Okay, one more version. Truffle parmesan. Super classic. You might have seen this at some upscale steakhouses. Take some seasoned fries, add on a little bit of truffle oil, toss them around while sprinkling in some freshly grated Parmesan cheese. These, my friends, are gold and hands down one of my all-time favorites. Okay, fine, you don't want to deep fry them, you don't have a deep fryer, or that much oil is way too bad. We'll bake them, no problem. Don't ask about an air fryer. I don't own one, and I don't really mess with those too much. But here's how to get really delicious fries baked up in the oven. In a very large bowl, let's take out some of the fries that I left over. Still need to rinse them, still need to wash them, let them sit for 10 minutes, same exact process. Add them to a bowl once they've sort of air dried a little bit. What we're going to do is coat it in just a little bit of olive oil. You need to use olive oil here because it has a very low smoking point, which means it will brown up quicker in the oven on 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Add them to a cookie sheet tray lined with parchment paper. Spread them out. Make sure they are completely flat here. This is absolutely vital to having nice crispy brown fries. Again, we're going to the oven, 450 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to cook for between 15 and 18 minutes, but do not go far because we need to come back. And what we're going to do at this point is toss these around. Make sure they're flipped over. You could do one at a time. I'm going to sort of just move them around together and make sure they've been tossed and coated. Add them back to the oven for another 10 minutes. Once they are finished cooking, the same exact process as the first original fry I made. Add them to a bowl, toss them around, season them up with salt, or you can add any of those other flavorings that I showed you. It's a good looking fry. It's nice and crispy brown. It's not quite as tender on the inside as the deep fried ones are, but they're good. You don't have to worry about oil. It does take about 20 more minutes in addition to the deep frying version, so just gonna throw that out there. But it does come back to these techniques. You still need to rinse it to get all that starch off. The quick blanch first in the deep fryer and then cooking it at higher temperatures, get that perfect golden brown on the outside. These techniques, my friends, it's all about them. So you apply them, you practice them. You're going to be an amazing cook in the long run. That's my promise to you. And then in return, what happens? All of your homemade food from scratch is going to be that much better. And look what we got. We've got something for everybody. We've got regular fries. We've got baked fries. We've got garlic and chive fries. We've got Parmesan truffle oil. Boom. This is how you do it.